Will the states reclaim their constitutional rights and powers? In light of this discussion, where do we go from here? America stands at the precipice and may soon tip into the abyss. How can lesser magistrates, state governors, prevent it from toppling? One thing is certain. Half measures will not work. The states must play the man, as Hugh Latimer advised Nicholas Ridley at another late date in the progression of despotism before they were both burned at the stake, and step up to their responsibilities. At present, the states are mere shadows of their former selves and are a small threat to anyone except the same people being oppressed by the feds, the people the states are supposed to protect. In other words, right now, the states are lined up with the feds as oppressors of the people. This must change. Several states are beginning to step up to their responsibilities, but the trickle must become a flood. The federal threat is enormous. The states must respond with commensurate strength and scope. Many states have begun to pass nullification laws, laws that nullify unconstitutional federal laws within the boundaries of the states in question. This has been done with respect to firearms laws, the health care law, cap and trade, federalization of the National Guard, constitutional tender, gold and silver currency, and other unconstitutional federal laws. You can read more about the current state of such laws at 10thamendmentcenter.com. Excellent website. Before this movement can get too far, however, the states need to wake up and realize what truly makes them lesser magistrates. Lesser entities have historically had two things that make them sovereign in their own rights: guns and money. The states need to reclaim their National Guard troops and take them out of the reach of the federal military-industrial complex. But the next step is even harder. They need to establish state banks. Now, this is a difficult subject for conservatives to endorse, and rightfully so. If it's wrong to have a central bank at the federal level, why is it right at the state level? Marilyn Barnwell, one of the most innovative and influential private bankers in America, has done some critical analysis on this one. Basically, the states need banks because they cannot escape the tyranny of the Federal Reserve System without them. At present, only North Dakota has a true state bank, and it has had one for over 100 years. Interestingly, observes Barnwell, because of the banking system in place in North Dakota, that state is rated number 1, or number 2 in some reports, regarding its economic health. The unemployment rate in North Dakota was 4.9% in March 2010. The national average is slated at 10 or 11%, but is believed by many experts to be closer to 17 to 21%. Why does a state bank create a healthy economic environment in a state like North Dakota? It's not California or Florida, where fruits and vegetables can be grown year-round. It's not a state that attracts population because of its mild climate. In short, North Dakota's system of banking is largely responsible for its economic health. But the bottom line on state sovereignty is that, again quoting Barnwell, without a currency distribution system, states are tied to the federal system in place. Should a state attempt to exercise the rights granted to it by a state constitution and resultant sovereignty currency legislation, should the states not have in place an alternative to the federal system, economic chaos would result. To maintain education, highways, local governments, and even minimum state government services, a financial distribution system is required. The good news is that, as attorney Ellen Brown has observed, a growing number of candidates are picking up on the public bank alternative. Florida, Illinois, Oregon, Massachusetts, Idaho, and California all have candidates whose platforms contain this proposed solution to their credit crisis. But the bad news is that if the states are to address the problem adequately, 43 other states are not yet addressing this problem. They must do so as a solid front. John King was not brought to heel by a baron or two acting on a conviction. Only a united front of the barons did the trick. Conclusion. Yeah, finally. This is the last. What lovers of freedom must do? Modern liberalism, stripped of all its embellishments, consists simply of a hatred of God. Yeah, okay. Yep. This hatred results in two salient characteristics of liberal behavior: an almost total misunderstanding of God's nature and an equally gross misunderstanding of the nature of man. Why in a liberal's world, in a liberal's world, God is evil and man is good. Why does this matter? Because human institutions that are set up to accommodate human behavior that is assumed to be good are inadequate to restrain human behavior that is bad. If you can't see this, imagine holding $1,000 in your hand as you give a loaded gun to a convicted armed robber standing opposite you. By your actions, you are assuming him to be good. What restrains him from acting badly? A better system would have him unarmed and behind bars, and your money in your pocket. In such a system, set up to deal with known human behavior, you may reasonably hope to keep your money. Similarly, people who run for high-level office are known to be overwhelmingly driven by a desire for power. Some of them are noble, most are not. Why place such people in powerful positions with no effective checks and balances? It is a colossally naive thing to do. A strong central government, like its predecessor, Babel, is an inherently liberal institution. It reflects a view of human nature that is deeply flawed, and it permits the rampant propagation and proliferation of human evil. We are currently seeing this play out in America every day, as we saw it in Soviet Russia and Nazi Germany. Conservatives unwittingly manifest liberal behavior when they focus all their attention on electing better congressmen and presidents. Said concisely, the problem is in focusing on the federal level of government. If your hope for reforming America is to elect a good U.S. congressman this November and put a Republican president in office in 2012, you don't understand the problem. Federal solutions are no solution at all. By all means, do vote for good people for federal office, but put the vast majority of your time and effort into state and local elections. The federal government will do anything to restrain the states from their constitutionally established historical role. In particular, the feds will totally ignore the Constitution. This was evident in the recent taking to court of Arizona over its immigration law by the Obama administration. The case was tried in a federal court, which was illegal. The Constitution stipulates in Article 3, Section 2, second paragraph, that in all cases in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. Emphasis added. The case could only be tried at the Supreme Court. If you had any doubt in your mind that your federal government holds the Constitution in disdain, now you know. Reassertion of the constitutional power of the states, as set out by our founding fathers, and restraints on the out-of-control usurpation of power by the federal government is what lovers of freedom must work to restore. Restoration of our Constitution and the intended balance of power between the states and the federal government is our primary hope for emerging from the present political crisis and our freedom intact. Failing that, we may lose our freedom in the not-too-distant future and find ourselves living under despotism in the land of our fathers. If you haven't focused with vengeance on your state and local elections, local officials often strongly impact state policies. Now is the time to begin doing so. Ensure that the candidates understand these issues and they are prepared to confront and rein in the feds, our primary source of organized crime today. They said it here, I've said it before. Going for the top will not change anything. You gotta work from your local bases and work up. Change comes from the base, not the top. Sorry it was such a lengthy video, but really worth the read. Think about it, folks. Be ready. Peace out.